Yo, what's up? My phone is about to die, so we'll see if we can do this before it does. This is The Myth of Sisyphus by Albert Camus. French philosopher everyone's pretty much heard of. The actual essay of Myth of Sisyphus is only just like 5 or 10 pages long, but this whole book is just like a collection of essays. And it's probably my new favorite philosophical book that I've ever read. Doors of Perception might be a close second, or they might be tied for number one right now, but definitely one of my favorite, if not my favorite, philosophical work I've ever read. Great all around. The first 50 pages were a little dense, but once you get past that, it's pretty much smooth sailing from there. He references a lot of other philosophy and a lot of other philosophical words, so I feel like it would be a great intro for anybody that wants to get into philosophy. Just to hear other philosophy names and that are referenced, and just other words that are used in the philosophy world quite often. If you can get through that denseness of the first 50 pages or so, you really have to sit down and work though for it. Definitely a great work. Definitely highly suggest. 5 out of 5. No problems with it. I really did enjoy it. But since I haven't reviewed anything by Camus, and I've only really read The Stranger, which I wasn't a huge fan of, I gave a 4 out of 5, and I read it a few years ago, but it's definitely not one of my favorite books or anything like that. And I think I like his writing when it comes to philosophical ideas a lot more than his fictional stories. But I definitely want to read as much of his work as I can. I already have 3 or 4 other books of his. Awesome dude. He's probably my favorite philosopher as of right now. And so a little bit about him. He was born in 1913 and passed in 1960. He's a French philosopher, author, and journalist. He was the 1957 Nobel Prize winner at 44, the second youngest to ever achieve that. Notable works, like I've mentioned, The Stranger, The Plague, Myth of Sisyphus, The Fall, and then I just wrote down Rebel. I don't know if that's the full title or if I just shortened that. I feel like I just shortened it. But he was born in French Algeria, so it's right below, it's across the water, south of France, Algiers, which was French occupied at that time. So technically Africa, but considered French. But yeah, he went to the University of Algiers. I'm not sure if that's actually how you pronounce it, but that's how I've been saying it in my head. He focused on absurdism, existentialist, ethics, human nature, justice, politics, and philosophy of suicide. What I found most interesting was his philosophy of suicide and his absurdism. That's what I connected to with most, and I just find the philosophy of suicide very interesting. And this is the first time I've actually read it. Usually it's kind of a taboo subject, and people, don't talk about it too much. And I hadn't seen it really in philosophy at all. And this is the first time I read about it. I'm sure it's out there, but this is my first time, encountering it. But yeah, he was in Paris. A little bit more about him. He was in Paris when Germany invaded, tried to flee, but joined the French resistance. He's the editor-in-chief at the newspaper Combat, which was an outlawed newspaper, had a lot of influence. The French resistance. After the war, he was a celebrity figure and gave lectures. Super politically active, opposed the Soviet Union totalitarianism, if I can say that right. Moralist, contributed to the rise of absurdism, and is considered an existentialist, even though rejected the term. His death at the age of 46, car accident, crashed into a tree. There's speculation that he was assassinated by the KGB because of his Soviet Union criticism. In the book, The First Man is about his childhood and was found and published posthumously. So that's probably going to be the next work. I'm probably going to read The Fall first because it's not that long. and then First Man, and then things after that. But yeah, great book, highly suggest. I might read a few passages. He mentions Kierkegaard a lot, which is a philosopher I haven't read, which I do want to get to. He mentions Kant, Kafka, Heidegger, Schopenhauer. But some of my favorite essays in this whole thing was at the beginning, absurd reasoning about absurdity and suicide, and then his essay about philosophical suicide and absurd freedom, the absurd man, because he's considered the Don Juan of philosophers. And he even has an essay about Don Juanism, and I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did. He talks about, there's a philosophy and fiction section, and then the myth of Sisyphus, which is only 5 pages, which I did really enjoy. It wasn't until like the last page or so that it really started clicking. I really liked his work about Kafka, and all of this was in like the first 140 pages or so, and then the rest of the essays about, travel and philosophy. He talks about like there's a summer in Algiers section, which is just talking about his home and what's it like coming back, and some other little travel kind of philosophical sections. I really liked the last essay a lot, The Artist and His Time, just speaking about what it means to be an artist and a philosopher, and the time that you're born in and everything. But I'm going to read this little paragraph before my phone is about to die, so we'll see if I can get through it. The absurd work itself may lead to the infidelity I want to avoid. The work, which was but an ineffectual repetition of a sterile condition, a lucid glorification of the ephemeral, becomes here a cradle of illusions. It explains, it gives a shape to hope. The creator can no longer divorce himself from it. It is not the tragic game it was to be. It gives a meaning to the author's life. It is strange, in any case, that works of related inspiration like those of Kafka, Kierkegaard, or Chestov, those, in short, of existential novelists and philosophers completely oriented toward the absurd and its consequences, should in the long run lead to that tremendous cry of hope. So yeah, I really liked it, loved it. Little paragraph about how absurdism and existentialism really does lead to hope, and wisdom can only be achieved through nihilism. And yeah, great work, and definitely check it out. Thanks for sticking with me. Peace.